What is going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you on Lucid. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that said, let's get right to it. So going into this upcoming week, fear and greed index is still relatively high. So you're going to see naturally the market propelling stocks higher. So a lot of positive momentum rolling over. So fear and greed index is at 77, still in the extreme greed category. Aside from that, data points, it's all nothing really happening. Of course, a couple of data points coming out on Wednesday and Friday linked to consumers. So I believe non-farm employment, as you can kind of see right here, and then non-farm payroll on Friday. So two indicators linked to consumers. But aside from that, though, it's going to be more of a technical driven week. And so, of course, I love technical driven weeks because all you have to do is just read the chart. It's pretty simple. As far as companies unveiling their earnings, the only one that might cause some disruption is NIO. So that's coming out early morning on Tuesday. But I feel a little bit more optimistic about them because they have been beaten down very much so. So as far as it potentially trending down from there, I don't see that feasible. So I think it actually might be going up. So that might once again really help Lucid. As far as things coming out from Lucid specific this week, they are participating in the Moda Miami thing, whatever it is. They also did do a tweet about that as well. So it just says to go pop over there and take a look and whatever. So Lucid is definitely getting their name out there, probably not as much as they once were in early 2023 and throughout 2022. But I think that's kind of a good thing. As long as they're a little bit more strategic on their marketing, I think that should really help their bottom line, especially over the last couple of quarters. They did say that they want to cut on expenses. But I feel like one thing that Lucid does not really capitalize on is the PIF. Yes, the PIF is essentially there to help them and has done a lot, but I feel like Lucid could lean on them a little bit more for, I guess, not free marketing, but similar to what happened with AT&T. They can actually lean on them for kind of that type of marketing. So that's something hopefully to look forward to in the coming, quarters. But aside from that, though, there's this thing. And then technically, I think March 21st is going to be the next event. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. I have noticed that they've kind of stopped a lot of those pop-up studios. Maybe it wasn't really worthwhile to them. And that's something I was not really a fan of. It's good for marketing, but I feel like if someone's walking through the mall, yeah, they'll kind of pay attention to it, but that's not your target audience. So I feel like the whole partnership with Saks, that might be probably a little bit more advantageous and yield a lot more sales than those pop-up studios. So Lucid is still trying to learn. And yeah, so aside from all of this fun stuff, it is just going to be technicals. And shorts over this last little bit have slowly returned. So on Friday, shorts returned about 1.17 million shares. 28.76% of the free float is being shorted, and 253.2 million shares overall are being shorted. And cost of borrow average is 76.66%. So with the market going higher and assuming Lucid can get over some key resistance levels, you should see shorts return some of their shares probably to around the 26% range. But then again, what do I know? I'm not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence. When it comes down to the Elliott wave technicals, it is somewhat bearish. So it does have a pivot point of $3.92. For as long as Lucid is below that, this is where it is anticipated for it to hit roughly around the $2. But then again, that's anticipated over the next couple months. In my opinion, I feel like that's kind of extreme, but looking here, there has been no recent analyst ratings. So the last one was by 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, $4 price target, and aside from that, it was $4.50 and $4. So even analysts at this stage in the game do see a potential upside of around 18.32%. And when it comes to options, so $1.19 million in calls being purchased versus 549,000 in puts. So options, as I mentioned in my video yesterday or the day before or whatever, it is somewhat bearish. So people are anticipating and hedging that it is going to go down because 60% of all the options were bearish. So people are anticipating for it to break $3 only because of this. So looking on the actual chart, it has been attempting to transition into the higher percentile over the last about week. So it's been gaining more and more momentum. It did attempt both on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It failed each and every time. So it kind of got dragged back in here. So right now, Lucid just doesn't have enough to to push higher. And I feel like right now, based on the technicals, is making it very difficult for Lucid, only because they do have that central boiling band resistance level, that 50-day moving average, as well. Looking on the fib levels, it does have this R1, all tightly packed in this little area right here. So in essence, Lucid does need to really hit a home run, or something needs to happen across the board to cause institutions to kind of push it higher. One thing that might actually work for Lucid is looking at stochastic. You do see it somewhat oversold. So if there's a good piece of news dedicated to Lucid, aka wink and wink, nudge, all that kind of crap, maybe if they put out the reservations for the gravity, that could be the X factor to cause it to go higher. Hopefully that's this week. I don't believe anyone knows anything about that. It's just kind of stuck in limbo, but hopefully they do it sooner rather than later. But you guys get what I'm saying though. Ultimately, you need something to push it higher, because the technicals are kind of just stuck in limbo right now. It's been just trading between these ranges, as I've been saying. So 324 and 359 has just kind of been stuck within that range for a while now. It has broken this 324 briefly, but if you kind of zoom to the 1 minute chart on the fib levels, it kind of has another smaller support level. But aside from that, it's been relatively boring. But then again, if you are one of those options traders, that is absolutely beautiful. If you find a very volatile stock such as Lucid, just sell covered calls or sell puts. Because for instance, if you really like Lucid, keep selling $3 puts, because for instance, if it doesn't break below $3, well, guess what? You get to keep the premium. If it breaks below $3, you get to buy it at a discount essentially. So that's one way of thinking of it. And plus vice versa, based on what I just mentioned, there is a lot of resistance right above Lucid, pretty much right where we are essentially. So you could always sell 350 covered calls. The only negative to that is if Lucid does put out that X factor causing it to go higher, then you kind of have to take a loss on that essentially. But yeah, that's kind of, it is what it is when it comes down to options. Highly suggest in researching them, because they can be very beneficial, more so on volatile stocks such as Lucid. So all in all, I feel like with this upcoming week being very much dependent on the technicals, I think it is still going to be stuck within this range. I don't know if it's going to have enough to actually break above this 50-day moving average, because even right here, right before leading into their earnings, it's been attempting numerous times and failing every single time. And that damn 50-day moving average has been plaguing it pretty much since early 2022. That's been one thing that Lucid has always struggled with. So in reality, as far as a price target, I do feel that maybe around 350 might be the high for this week. Of course, you might have some breakouts similar to what has happened here and in the past, but usually it will get dragged back down unless there's some justified reason for it to transition higher. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Of course, Lucid is a long-term play, as I've mentioned time and time again. So even though it's not at $4 this upcoming week, or potentially the technicals aren't really pointing to that, it's not the end of the world. If you do believe in it, take advantage of these discounted prices. But it is ultimately a long-term play, as what you've kind of heard based on their last couple of earnings. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. But no matter what, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moomoo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below, and also comment. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.